Good morning, Henry McClure Live. How are you doing today? This video is dedicated to Harvey Bantleon Hoover in a direct response to the Christmas letter that was just articulately read to me by Rebecca Clancy, my new girlfriend, my girlfriend. And more to comment on her later. She's a beautiful woman, and I'd like to talk to her. I'd like to talk about her later, but Harvey, I want to compliment you on your letter. You got a lot of patience, and I can see a lot of thought and love went into this letter. And I'd kind of like to bring the Bantleon family up to speed on my life. And for me, it's actually a little easier to make a video than it is to sit down and write this letter. But it's beautiful. So on May 2nd, 2015, after after settling Mom's estate, after taking care of Mom, I had an experience that I'd like to tell you. I want to tell you just a little bit about what it was like to take care of Mom in the final time. My mom was really brave, and we had hospice helping us for 6 months, and it was a roller coaster of her health. And anyway, there was just really one bad week of taking care of Mom, but hospice came to the rescue and really helped me. But what I want to tell you, what happened to me after Mom died was something that I've never experienced. It's like I had been waiting so long to have my life back, and I just had trouble getting momentum. And trust me, after taking care of Mom, it wasn't that I couldn't function because I missed her so much, and it wasn't that I wasn't celebrating because I was happy she was gone. But this is it was kind of a time of morning drinking. I was really happy. I was very happy when they took the Loratabs and the liquid morphine out, because it was good to not have that at reach. I mean, these drug companies, it was like a pizza company. They would deliver the drugs right to your door. You never needed to leave. And like I'd say that to the hospice nurse, hey, are these for her or are they for me? And they'd laugh, But so anyway, I did sample them from time to time. Well, you want to have an eye opener in the morning to have a shot of morphine. But I got lost, and I think what happened to me was I eventually drank myself to death. And I mean, still functioning though, but I think there was just a moment where it snapped. One morning, woke up at 4:44. Charlie Wilson and I were going to go take our walk in the morning, because I was trying to fight to get my life back together and, get back in shape and lose some weight and fight off type 2 diabetes, which, you can do. Cut my calorie count down, change your diet. It was raining. Wilson and I looked at each other. He went right back to bed. And I thought, well, it'd be a good idea to maybe make a Mike's Hard Lemonade and vodka, which we used to call a double barrel shotgun. I was going to turn on some Netflix and, drift off to yesterday, watch some movies. And, I'll get up later. And I took one sip of that. And I'm telling you, it was like I was being choked. My I thought somebody was standing on my chest. I couldn't breathe. I had the feel of anxiety and panic. I started sweating. My whole body was, it was like an arrest. And I looked at that drink and I said, self, that's killing you. And if you want to go right now, all you got to do is drink that drink. And because I didn't know whether to call 911, lay down and die, or finish that drink. Or actually, I also thought about maybe just driving to the hospital. But I set the drink down and I went in and I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize the guy in the glass. I was going to get sick into the sink. And, you know, I retched a couple of times. And when I really got a good look and I'm trying to focus on myself, I didn't know the man in the glass. And it was like I got scared and panicked and my head popped back. And I remember just a bright light. And it was like I traveled through time and watched the world evolve. If you've seen the movie Lucy, there's times where she travels through times, and it's like a flip show. You know what I mean? Where it's frame after frame after frame. But this was the wildest experience I've ever had, and it was like I was seeing a glimpse of how we got here. And then I'm standing above my 3-year-old self at the corner of 19th and Oakley, outside my body, looking at my 3-year-old self, drunk, kind of passed out because I went up and got those little cans of Coors. Then I had to live my life. It was just like the movie Scrooge. And I went through my life, and the pain of death is not as bad as the pain of the transgressions your transgressions, the crimes you commit to the morality and humanity, to yourself. And as each bad incident happened, pain got worse. And it got worse, and it got worse. So it was like my past, and it brought me up to my present, the present. And it was like a big hand grabbed me, and I'm swooped up, and I'm flying up, and I'm in the light. And the further I go up into the light, the pain goes away, and I'm breathing fresh air. And a moment of peace came over me, and I thought about my daughter Bianca, and I thought about my life that I lived, and I thought about, you know, what was I going to leave behind? Was the world a better place? You know, all this went through my mind, and I'm totally at peace. I feel great. And what I'm thinking to myself is, in spite of all that pain that I went through, I'm able to I'm transcending into a new life. And it's like, okay, now that was short-lived because I kind of stalled out, and the wind kind of stops, and I'm floating. I'm like, okay, what's going on here now? And I just slowly but surely could feel myself descending. And when I hit back on Earth, or wherever I went, I looked in the mirror, and there's Henry McClure. I could see myself. And I'm fine. And I know at that moment, it's time to change. And I grabbed all the booze that I had, and I took it over to my neighbor Jack's house. You know, waste not, want not. That's what happens when you're depression, you know, raised from depression parents. You know, I flushed the marijuana that I had around the house, and I never thought about it again. I'm pretty sure I called Bianca to tell her what happened, and the desire to, all I wanted to do was be a better person. I wanted to get my physical health back. What was really wild, the next time I went to a doctor, I didn't need, there's some medicine they took me off of. I take a slight high blood pressure. Last time I had, for my life insurance, I had my blood pressure taken. It was 120/80, and a thyroid pill. And there was some other stuff that I had for cholesterol that I didn't need to take anymore. My doctor looked at me like, hey, what have you been doing? What are you doing there? It was great. And I just went about my life. But I had to tell Bianca about the miracle. I wanted to tell her about what I saw and how important it is to live your life right today. And I told people, I called a lot of people and talked to a lot of people and told them I was sorry about some of my past behavior. And I really thought about, what I could do to be better, and thought about all my shortcomings. And finally, 11 months and 3 weeks later, I get a call from Renee McClure, who's my ex-wife, which you all know. But she asked me if I would go to an AA meeting. And I said, sure, why not? I mean, you'd want to help anybody that wanted to quit drinking and sit in a room with other people that don't drink. Well, that's cool. And it was funny. She didn't show up, but I did. And I knew a bunch of the people. So I went in and I started going to some meetings from time to time. And I've told people this exact same story because people in those rooms, they definitely can understand it. They can relate. Whether it's not that they can relate to crazy or not, I don't care how you look at it. But you can never take that miracle away from me. And the miracle is today, it's like I wake up today and it's like, how did I get here? And why am I wearing a chef coat today? This is actually my 40th year in real estate. But due to some business circumstances, I've had to come in and take over a restaurant that I have an interest in. My financial partner, he didn't do anything wrong, and he lives in Seattle, and he doesn't have time to come run this. He's a very successful, he owns a printing business, and he's very successful at that. And and this has been nothing more than a distraction from him because, and I think the penance that I pay today is due to the fact that I didn't get along with the operating partner. And all I wanted to do all along for the operating partner was just to help out. Hey, how could I help out? But it was like the guy didn't want to have anything to do with me, and he wanted to run it all himself, and that's fine. But all I wanted to do was help. And I didn't really like being in the sidelines. I've grown to admire some of the successes of that young man. But the one thing that I don't admire is quitting. You just can't quit your partners. It's just like you can't quit having faith. And what I'm here to tell you is never quit having hope. Harvey, what you wrote in that letter is awesome. It's a beautiful letter. I understand the epiphany that you had. I get that too. I remember after going to a speaker meeting and then going to another meeting the next day of Alcoholics Anonymous and having a spiritual change from the program. And it's like, whoa, wow. So if people would just keep going to these meetings, maybe they'll get it. I think today I'd have to look. I check from time to time. I try to cope with my little brother Matt, because quite frankly, I haven't had time to go to meetings lately because of my life. And I would love to help people. I do. I would. But I think today it's 1,688 days from May 2nd, 2015. And I try to tell Matt, if that's all I've got to contribute is to not drink for that long, well, that's the best I can do today. I think there are people that are a lot smarter than me about a lot of stuff. And that's another thing. I've been able to take, in my life, it's always been black and white. Either you're against me or you're with me. But I've been able to come to the center with the people that we have different views with, or I have different views with, or maybe not in favor of some of my views or my business acumen or my business ideas. And I'm able to be neutral with those people today and just not care because I don't have the energy to give those people. And that is what's happened to me over the 1,688 days or so, plus or minus, is my ability to read energy. I can't be around negativity. I can't be around hate. But man, I get around somebody with a little hope and faith. I love that. That's easy. Man, that feels great. So the restaurant's been a lot. I've had to actually, the best way to run it is I live above the restaurant. I've got 1,875 feet of home up here. And this was originally called Otto's Dispensary. And Otto raised his family here. And any of the Bantleons, you've got to remember Norma Dempsey, the little lady that helped Mom. Well, I remember Dempsey's son, Norman, always used to drink at the Otto's. And this is where we'd come as kids, because this is where all the old people, my age now, would drink, because Otto would keep the air conditioning at 68 degrees. And this was a fun place to, and I've always talked to the people, the older people in my whole life. They were interesting. They had great stories. But I do like movies. And I'm kind of a fan of these Marvel movies. And there was a movie that came out. It's called Captain Marvel. It came out this March or so. And I remember watching the movie Endgame. And there was a character in Endgame that you're going, hey, who's that chick? Where'd she come from? Look at those superpowers she got. And so Endgame is here. And then Captain Marvel came out here. And then it tells you who that person is. Well, but I'm telling you, a Marvel movie came out this year, and I didn't even know about it because I'm so enthralled with everything I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing right, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong in the food business. But I know that the competition's tough. There's a lot of people fighting for your food dollar. We've got 2.3% unemployment in Topeka, which makes it impossible to find help. And then the help that you do find that shows up, it's sketchy at best from time to time. You get some good people, and then you pay them well, and or try, do your best within a budget. But I did get my my real estate license renewed and all my education, and I moved my real estate license over to the Coldwell Banker office that I worked at before I went to work for the Macerich Company, a guy named Ben Blair. And Ben Blair actually, from when he moved to from San Francisco to here with had a law degree, he worked for my dad. And so Ben and I had a long history in life. And what do you mean I stress too much? I don't seem stressful right now. But anyway, I joined the Coldwell Banker office to make sure I stay young. They're the #1 company for technology. So everything that, all the new trends in technology, I'll have the ability to learn all that. But I've got a bunch of commercial real estate that I'm working on, and that takes time to develop anyway. And my daughter Bianca got into the real estate business, and she's been leasing a property for a large company based out of San Francisco with assets around $400 million. And she's doing really great. She's really doing great. And what's interesting about Bianca, if you take our careers in parallel paths, when I joined the Mace Rich company, retail was giving off better returns than multifamily. Today, multifamily's giving off better returns than retail. So Bianca is in a position that's perfect for her growth. She enjoys the real estate business. She's a great kid. I'm happy for her. She's the company that she works for has properties in Kansas City, and she's getting her apartment at a discount as part of her package to relocate. And so she'll live here, and then she'll work over here in this one. So I want to tell all the Bantleons I love them, and I want to wish them a Merry Christmas. I got to tell you about Mariana, little Mariana. She met my girlfriend Rebecca at one of the after hours at Washburn, and it was funny. And I kind of warned Rebecca. I said we might run into Austin and Mariana. And I said, get ready to get interrogated by Mariana. So she had a heads up. And it was funny. I'm across the room, and I see like Mariana circling over to get to Rebecca. And she's quizzing Rebecca. Now, my mom was interested is interesting. But this was like an interrogation. And since Rebecca had already had the heads up that this was coming, and it made it more fun. So it was funny. She goes, "Whoa, that Mariana!" She would sidle up to her, circling around. It's like she's sitting there, and it's like, "Whoa, what are you doing here?" But anyway, I love seeing Austin and Mariana. I do. I love seeing them. I respect Austin more than you ever know. And it's fun to, maybe Mariana's one of these people I brought up into the middle, but I do love her because she's a Bantleon. And I think about her mom and how her mom and I got along. I really loved my Aunt Mariana. And because she would love to tell my mom about all my shortcomings. And that's okay. I had a lot of them. Not so many today. I know that there'll come a point in time, and I want it to be a long time away, that I'll have to pay for my shortcomings again. And I just don't want the pain. I don't want that pain to be like it was the first time. So it's fun having a second life, and it's fun to have eternal peace and be alive. Hey, we got the best of both worlds going on right now. Harvey, I love what you wrote in there. It's beautiful. I love your faith, and you've never lost hope. And I know you've had a lot of trials and tribulations. I can't think of anything more painful than losing a daughter. And we can all say, well, I know she's in a better place. But I do know. I was on the doorstep of that. And the day I get to go through that door, I'll be ready. I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. And what a better time for all of us to get along. Well, that's the restaurant calling. So, Henry McClure, live. I love you. Merry Christmas to the Bantleons.